command of Colonel Zebulon Pike. I don't know if you ever heard of Pikes Peak in Colorado. Well, it was named after him. He's the one who discovered it. So he's here with 2,000 men. Well, they can't stay in the village. There's no room for them. So he brings them 3 miles up the Saranac River. They pitch tents and they start building huts like this. Now, it's a very bad winter, and almost 200 of the men died over the course of the winter, but they got the huts built and they lived in them the rest of the winter. In the spring, they were called away they were involved in the attack on York, which is now Toronto, and Pike was killed there. But they left the camp behind because they knew they were going to use it again. Well, in the summer of 1813, a British raiding party raided the Champlain Valley, burned various military installations and supplies around the Champlain Valley, came to Plattsburgh, burned some villages and buildings in the village of Plattsburgh, came up to this camp, which was called either Camp Saranac or Pikes Cantonment, and they burned it to the ground. What they did find, though, and they didn't realize at the time, that the location of the camp was a good place to cross the river, to ford the river, because the river was shallower and easier to cross there than down near the mouth of the river. So the following year, in the video that you saw in the land battle of Plattsburgh, that's where the British Army crossed the river, okay? Now remember, the camp's gone, it's been burned down, all right? So when the war ends a few months later, the local people begin to see what they can get from this site, and they get mostly nails that were built by or made by hand by a blacksmith. But as that generation passed away, the exact location of this camp, Pikes Cantonment, kind of got lost in local history. So if you go back about 15 years, there were at least 6 different places around here that people were convinced was a location of this camp. Well, and they had a historical marker like the one we have out front there. They had one, but it was in the wrong place. And so a local historian, the man that the next room is named after, Dr. Allen Everest, began a search to see if he can solve this local mystery. And he was using journals, diaries, orders, maps, and whatever he could get his hands on. And he felt that he knew where Pikes Cantonment was, and then he died. Right? So our president, Keith Herpelo, took over the search because he was interested in this mystery. Eventually found some information that Dr. Everest did not have access to, and felt he knew where it was, very similar to where Dr. Everest. The only problem was this used to be an air base. This used to be Plattsburgh Air Force Base. And the site was located on what was the base. So the base closes in 1995. The land becomes part of the town of Plattsburgh. So starting 5 years ago, and for 2 years, we did an archaeological dig at that site. We had to get an archaeologist to run it, which we did. The first year, we found enough evidence to prove that it was a location of Pikes Cantonment. The second year, we found the foundation of a cabin. So that gave us the idea of the size, so we knew if there were 200 cabins, how big the encampment really was. Okay? So you can't get in there. There's no way you can get in there because you wouldn't be able to see anything. So what we did was we built a model, 80% size of what one of the cabins at Pikes Cantonment would have looked like. Remember, there were 200 of these. We're calling it an officer's cabin because we found, in conjunction with the foundation, bits and pieces of china and glass and pottery that would have been used by an officer. Do you know where our airport is? Do you know where the Plattsburgh Airport is?
No.
No?
We saw several big airplanes.
You go, you go out here and you head to the northway, and we go by our airport, and if you look on the right-hand side, you'll see the historical marker to show where Pikes Cantonment was located, this camp. So that's what the cabin is all about. The rest of the museum is pretty much self-guided.